shed. Well, today I'm helping my brother out with his Gu Patrol project. Now he's actually been working on this thing for about 6 months now. Now some of you might have seen this in one of the glass house videos we had. Basically he bought this thing about 6 months ago and it pretty much wasn't running, wasn't driving, it had crazy death wobble. So he sorted all that out in his spare time, but he needs a little bit of help with the paint, panel, and just some wiring stuff, and just tidy this thing up, get it ready for the road. So that's where the big brother's stepping in. So let's have a quick squiz at this beast, and I'll show you what we're gonna get into. All right, everyone, meet the Bogan Bus. This thing is a Gu Patrol wagon. It has a TD42 with a China turbo high mount on it. It actually goes all right for what it is. It's got a steel bull bar, which me and my brother actually fitted, and it's also got a stainless steel snorkel, which has been professionally fitted here. You can see these beautiful cuts. Now this thing runs and drives pretty good. Obviously it looks like a turd. As you guys can see here, it's got a custom bonnet scoop that did have a cracked top mount intercooler. We actually took the intercooler off, so it is basically non-intercooled at the moment, but still runs all right. EGTs, don't know what they are. This stainless snorkel is held up by roofing screws. Now, the main thing that I'm going to be fixing today is all these little rust holes. Now these GQs, as probably everyone knows, they tend to just rust out along that roof rail. Mine was the same. We did the drip rail delete on mine, basically cut it off, welded the roof back down. This one, in all honesty, for the condition of the rest of the vehicle, isn't too bad. So we've got one hole up here, there's one on the other side, and there's one up the front. Now the front of this car, I actually hate. The bull bar just does not fit right. We spent like 6 hours trying to make this bull bar fit better. It just did not want to go up higher than what that does on the headlight. I don't like it. We'll see what he wants to do, but I would love to piss this off. Now interior wise, he spent a lot of time cleaning this up. He's had a full new carpet kit installed, and basically we wired up a head unit down there. He's got the cup holders, the center console. So interior wise, this thing isn't looking too bad. The brand new carpet looks bloody good, and it's got a set of drawers in the back. So here we have a blacktop NA TD42 with a Chinese turbo on it. This crossover pipe we just made out of what was left of that intercooler that we took off. It's got this really cool looking bloody pod filter thing on it, really nice here, and I don't even know what that is. That's air conducting or some shit. But yeah, overall, I think he got a pretty good buy. I think he only paid about 5 grand for this unit, and it was in a lot worse condition than what it is now. He has tidied up definitely a lot of it, but for 5 grand, TD42 GQ wagon, not too bad. So what he's decided to do is actually very similar to what I've done to mine. We'll fix the rust, we'll spray it with Raptor out of a normal top loading gun. That'll give us the fine texture that my car has as well, and it sort of just looks like matte paint. It doesn't really look like Raptor. If he wants to do that, it's a cheap way out. Bogan Bus has got to get the Bogan treatment, guys. Obviously, it'd be nice to do like a metallic paint job, but this thing ain't going to SEMA anytime soon, so we'll just leave it at the Raptor. It is also on some 33-inch tyres with some steelies, and I'd say it's sitting at about 4 or 5. I'd say that's 5-inch lift for sure. It's about the same size as mine. So yeah guys, that's the Bogan Bus in all its glory. Hopefully you guys are excited to see this thing sort of transform over the next couple of weeks. And helping a brother out is always fun. So let's get cracking. I'm gonna start pulling this snorkel off because I need to get to the roof. So we've got some roofing screws here. Then I'm gonna start hitting around the roof with the hammer. I'm gonna find all the weak spots, and then we're gonna start cutting it out and addressing this rust. And honestly, I think this thing's gonna turn out pretty sick. I think it'll come up mint. How is the bloody snorkel hole on this thing? Jesus. We've got little bits of rust bubbling up around the windscreen here and over the top of that corner. That's exactly where mine went. We do have a little tiny bit here that probably needs cutting out and sorting as well. And definitely this hole back here needs doing. Let's grab a rust stick, expose it. With any rust repair, it's sort of like an iceberg. You can only see 10% of it. So what we need to do is cut that out. Now I can near guarantee that down here is all rusted in behind. There's not much I can do about that because I'm not taking the roof off this thing. So this one being one of the worst ones, I'm gonna start here, work my way back. I'd say this is the hardest because it's on this sort of corner, very similar to what mine was. So we're not going for perfection here, guys. We're going for speed and efficiency. So the best thing you can do when you're cutting out a piece of rust is space it away. Like, you want a fair bit of metal in between the actual rust and the cut. And also try and keep your lines as straight as possible, and that way when you're making your template, it's not going to be all over the place. You just got to make it with basically straight corners. So let's have a look at this. So that's the outer skin. So that's the outer skin. Now all this build up and come out. That basically happened to mine as the rust was right down here, and it creates these little mini holes over here as well. So I might actually cut this out at least to there. This is a perfect example of like cutting back way more. You see on the inside of this plate here, it's actually rusty on the back. So if we just patch that first hole that I cut, this eventually would have rotted through. We are now back to a clean steel underneath, so you can see there's no rust up the side of there. So that means that hole really only needed to come back to here, but we went a little bit further. Pretty big hole to patch, but at the same time, better off doing it this way. It's funny as this is bringing back like serious PTSD of when I cut my roof open and I was like, what the bloody hell am I gonna do now? If my brother's seen this, he'd be pooing his pants too, but it's looking pretty good actually. I'm very surprised that the rust only stopped there. What I've done is I've like pulled this lip back, just like prized it back, and I've cleaned out all down here. Now I need to put some of my rust converter. Now this is just a Rust-Oleum rust converter and primer, and pretty much all I have to do is go over and run it in like that, get it deep down in the crevices, and then I can let it sit. So I'm going to treat that. Then I need to move on to a little one here, big one there, bigger one down the back, one over the side. Heaps of rust, but it's a Patrol. What did we expect? Righto, back one done. We're getting bloody close, boys. You can see I managed to just actually run a drill bit down, then I could side it through here that I got all the rust, and then I basically filled it right up and then blew the air through, pushing that converter right through. Bloody mint, boys, bloody mint. Righto guys, that's actually all the rust completely cut out of the roof. So we have two massive bits over this side. I actually ended up finding another little slice in here. But for the most part, it's actually pretty good. Like we got it pretty early, which is good. The effect inside the roof skin, so like on this skin here, isn't too bad. There's only a couple pit holes, but just gonna ignore them. So obviously there's a lot of templating that I need to do soon, but I need to wait for that rust converter to go off anyway. So what I'm probably gonna do is just start templating. Once the rust converter is completely dry, I'll hit it with some spray paint. That'll seal that rust basically in, and it shouldn't rust again. So yeah, obviously lots of holes to fill, but obviously this is the correct way to do it. He was actually gonna do fiberglass, which I never recommend anyone to do fiberglass because you can see how far the rust actually just goes back. So you fill it up with fiberglass, it's just gonna crack and bubble, and it just won't look good in even probably a year. The best thing you can do is try and get one clean cut out of your rust. So obviously this was a hole here and this was a hole here, so I did one big clean cut. You oversize it a bit, so now we can actually just put that onto the steel, cut that out, and we'll have the perfect plate for pretty much that side there. I want to quickly show you guys this trick with templating as well. The rust converter that we used earlier, if you just run a line around it. Now this is if you basically threw away the scrap, and excuse me trying to film this, it's bloody hard. But then you grab your piece of cardboard, you press it over, move it all around, flip it around. You can see there we have our cutting edge. So I'll quickly cut that out and then I'll show you how well it fits. You can see how well that fits. Might need to trim it up just a fraction. So that's if you couldn't cut one bit of steel out. Sometimes you don't realise that you need to cut more out, so that was the case with this one, and it's the case with that front one as well. So I'm going to do the same trick on all of them. Get it all bogged up and in bar. I bloody love restoring these old rigs. I just think it's so much fun. And this thing was honestly so close to the scrap heap. Just like mine was bloody this close to getting parted out. So it's nice saving these cars. I think it's cool. So now we can just transfer all these little cutouts that I've just made over to this bit of steel, cut them out, and then we're mint. I've cut the bits of steel and I've got them sitting up near the holes that they're for. Now, I do need to let that rust converter dry completely. It's a little bit tacky at the moment. So I'm gonna move on. I don't wanna stand around and do nothing. So I know we are gonna do a quarter chop and a rear bar delete. Now, that is because all this is taking quite big damage and it's starting to rust. So we'll probably follow this line right through till under the tail light, and we need to remove this rear bar. So I'm gonna quickly get this off, then we can start hacking into the side of this, neaten all that up, and then we're looking juicy. That looks pretty good, but you can see it's a little bit angled up here. So what I might do is just chase that back along and tidy that up. But the hardest part's getting that off. There is a cavity up there as well that will need to be plated off. So we'll probably end up cutting a bit of steel for that. Look how much stuff is in this. There's a bloody jet lighter or something. Don't know what that is. And there was also a belt. God knows what was going on with this thing before Harry got it. All this is now fully dried to the touch. So what I need to do is basically coat it with a top coat, and once that's done we can then clean up our edges and start welding the plates in. Just a quick lick of the old paint. Well, looky who showed up, eh? Come to see the progress. Been slaving away on your rig.
Yeah, it's looking good. Getting there.
Alright, so I was showing Harry around the car. That paint is still tacky and drying, so we'll keep going with this quarter chop. Both sides are exactly even, and from the back it looks really good. I'm pumped about that. Definitely looks 1,000 times better chopped. Harry's taken this fender here off because of that monstrosity of a hole right there, and he's managed to pick up a new Raptor coated fender, which we need to sand off, which is going to be fun, but no hole in that one, which is pretty rare. So I'm going to chuck that on. We're also going to pull this bonnet off. You can see there it's all cracked and stuff, so we're definitely not even going to bother trying to save this. Plus I think it's hideous. So fenders are off, grills off. Next is the bonnet and the bull bar. We're going to back the car out to take them off just because we've got limited space in here. So we'll do that now, and then we're actually just going to degrease and rinse all of the mud off in this sort of area, all underneath the suspension, all around where that back bar was, because you can see it's making life bloody miserable, isn't it, Harry?
Yeah.
Yeah, mate. All right, mate, start it up, hey? I'll open the shed up for you, all right?
Start her up.
Yeah, start her up, mate.
I'll open her up.
All right, I'll start it. Ready? First start, boys.
First start.
Do you have to double? You have to double glow it.
No.
Oh, Vera. Bring her out, mate. Up, huh? I'm sorry, I'm neglecting you. Quarter chop looks friggin' perfect. First quarter chop. Thing's massive from the back now. It honestly looks massive from the back.
The 2-inch, I swear.
It's huge, eh?
What do you reckon that is? 4 or 5?
I reckon it's 5 or 6, because mine's 5. Accurate measurement, both on 33s.
It's 100%.
Same, 5-inch. Just letting everyone know that I absolutely hate this bull bar. I think it's disgusting. But Harry wants to keep it, so I'm just putting it out there. Just putting it out there so everyone knows that I hate it and you want it. That chassis is full of mud, and I don't mean like just muddy water. I mean probably half the chassis, 50 mil of it, is full of mud. I don't know, you guys aren't going to be able to see, but we can see up to those bolt holes. I've tried to clean them out, that there is just heaps of mud under there. So I'm getting Harry to drill some holes under it, some 13 mil holes, so we can actually flush it out because they're like stones. And yeah, this is just, it's pretty bad. There's like rocks coming out of it, like all that stuff come out of this front one. It's just crazy. So dirty. Patrol life, bruh. All right guys, everything's done for today. That's as far as we're gonna get, but obviously she's all nice and clean now, so tomorrow we can actually just chuck it in the shed. Not stress about getting dirt everywhere and rolling around in it. Hopefully that chassis was absolutely blocked. It probably still is, but we got a fair chunk of it out. So it's looking pretty good. Are you happy?
Stoked, mate.
Yeah, stoked, brother. No, it's come up alright actually. I think it'll turn out pretty bloody good. Pretty bloody good, mate. Alright, thanks for watching guys. We'll catch you later.